Good morning to everybody. Hope you enjoy this webinar. My name is Hitesh Kanadia. I run a company called Modern Finance Solutions. I'm the director, and I work in partnership with Brand New and Business Support. So welcome to this webinar. Hope you find this helpful. And so I'm going to be focusing mainly on finance today, and it's finance for companies and small businesses that are established. So we're not going to be focusing on companies that are new startups or anything like that, but it's mainly for companies who are established. And the reason for that is, of course, when you're trying to submit your bid to the local authority or whatever the corporation is, they want to deal with somebody who've got a track record background. They know that they're established. They've got good customer reviews and they're reputable. So for this reason, we'll be focusing on finance purely around debt finance. There are so many different types of finance options available, which include something like crowdfunding, venture capital, private investors, family and friends. But we'll be focusing on finance from mainly banks and lenders, and how I can help you to navigate with funding with my expertise. And so I will start the slides now. So welcome to funding your bid. So hopefully you would have been through a seminar or a webinar with Brand New, who helped you to prepare you to submitting a winning bid and what they call is the fit to bid program. And hopefully you've been through that. If you haven't, I'll give you details right at the end of how you can request a one-to-one with Brand New and 1 hour's free consultation. So that'll follow right at the end. But for now, let's start off and kick off on the funding side of things. So what is it that you need to know about finance, and how can we facilitate a successful funding package for your business to grow? So here are the main sort of things that we're covering today. So if you win a bid and you suddenly get an order coming through for you to supply whatever you're doing in your business, whether it's providing goods or services, and you suddenly win a massive contract, how are you going to fulfill that contract? Suddenly you've got to be able to buy more stuff in, maybe increase vehicle size, maybe you need vehicle vans or trucks or anything you might need for delivery. You might need to employ more staff. So how are you going to be? Have you sort of thought about how you would construct and prepare yourself to the bid that you've just won? So it could be lots of things. What do your clients want, and how are you going to deliver it? So here are just a few bullet points. I'm not going to bore you with anything like that. I'll make it as friendly as possible. But yeah, just some points for you to consider. What would you need to do in your business to fulfill and deliver your service or your goods that you're selling to the contractor? So in that process, of course, the main thing around this is you'll have to invest, of course, your time. You'll have to invest your funding. You have to invest your own funds to grow your business, to buy new stock, for example. It could be for any other reason, to buy bigger premises, machinery, tooling, whatever it is that you might be selling. But the main issue would be is, of course, first of all, you want to make a profit. But before you make a profit, you've got to invest your own funding. And when you invest your funding, remember, you might not get paid for up to 3 or 4 months. A lot of B2B credit facilities are usually around 90 days. But by the time you raise an invoice and by the time you get paid, it could be up to 120 days. Now, let's not forget that in the meantime, you've had to pay your salaries, your national insurance, your VAT, buying stock, buying fuel, paying staff. All of those costs are immediate, but then you don't get paid for up to 120 days. So how would that affect your cash flow? And what today's exercise is going to be about is about how can we mitigate those 120 days? How can we get that down so that you've got cash flow, you've got money that you need for you to trade for up to 120 days while you're fulfilling and delivering your goods and services to your contractors. So here are just some of the challenges that businesses face. number one, which are the most funding options available and which are the most suitable. What I mean by that is that, you know what, if you need a mortgage, you go to, of course, a mortgage advisor. You know, if you need to buy a car, then you go to a car dealership. So there are so many options available on funding. So we've got to make sure that the options that you have are the most suitable. Which lender would be most ideal for you? You know, you can go to a high street bank and approach them, but most high street banks just do a simple business loan, but they don't specialize in anything else. Whereas what we have is, as an independent broker, we have a huge panel of lenders that specialize in most funding options. So we have, say, for example, we have specialist vehicle finance. You know, we've got specialist lenders who do vehicle leasing. Then we've got lenders who might help you to buy commercial property for a mortgage, you know, general business loans, buying stock. There are so many variations of funding available, but it's knowing which one is the most suitable for you. And more importantly, are you approaching the right lender? In terms of documents, lenders would probably need about 3 years trading history. So they would probably ask for at least a minimum of 2 years accounts prepared. So if you're in your third year, you should by now have filed 2 years accounts. So a lot of lenders look for about 2 years accounts, and they need to see a cash flow forecast as well to see, okay, if suddenly your turnover increases drastically, and you need to buy additional stock, how are you going to fund that? So that's going to be the challenge. And obviously, depending on what it is, we can then guide you to go to the right lender. So basically, my task is to support and guide you from start to finish for the most suitable option for you, and make sure that you approach the right lender and that obviously your criteria fits their criteria. So when you apply, you don't suddenly just get rejected. And so yeah, that's basically what we focus on getting you over the line for funding. Right, here are just some options of the various types of funding that I'm talking about. So what does your business need? I mean, you know, why do you need the finance in the first place? So here's just a couple of bullet points to say, okay, so here's obviously on the left, you've got the reason of the funding that you need. What is the reason? What funding do you need? So is it simply just buying stock, or supplier finance, for example? You know, if we've got specialist lenders that if you needed to buy, I don't know, XYZ, you know, amount of stock, then we've got specialist lenders that they can do funding for you just to buy the stock. Now, that wouldn't just be a general business loan or a mortgage or anything like that. It's just stock funding. So again, there are so many different types of lenders out there, all specializing on their respective fields. So stock funding is probably the most common one, because obviously you need to buy goods before you sell them, you know, whatever it might be. You know, you're obviously going to buy something, put your brand on it, and then deliver it. So that's stock funding, number one. Number two, for example, you know, if you're growing your business and you need to deliver that stock to your customer, do you need additional vehicles? Do you need more equipment? Do you need machinery, computers, whatever equipment it is? Now that's a specialist finance called asset finance. So asset finance is completely different, and it's usually available for a term of between 1 and 5 years. So yeah, that's asset finance. It's just a straightforward hire purchase, like a car loan, but it's specialized on the asset finance side. And then you've got leasing as well. Leasing is like, you know, it's a long-term rental, basically. So, for example, if you don't want to go out and, you know, buy 3 vans costing £50,000 each, and obviously that's a big outlay and a lot of deposit required for that, you would consider also how to lease, because the leasing option is a lot more affordable. So it's usually very, very low deposits. You can claim the VAT back on those. And just keep it over a term of up to 4 years. Usually 3 or 4 years is a lease term. So far, obviously, we've covered stock, supply finance, and vehicles equipment. What if you then need to expand and grow your business? Obviously, you've outgrown where you are at the moment. Your unit's not big enough, and you suddenly want to go and either lease or buy a commercial property. So here we've got obviously buying commercial property. It's specialist mortgages that we do, and we can guide you with. And these mortgages are usually available between 5 and 15 or 20 years. Obviously, it's like a residential mortgage, but on a commercial basis. So those are available as well to businesses that want to expand and grow and get new premises. Those options are available, and funding is available for them as well. On the commercial mortgages, usually you would need to put down around 30-35% deposit, and the rest would be a 60-65% mortgage available from possibly a high street lender, high street bank, something like that. But again, that's just an option for you for now, that you understand it, that what's available to you. Now, the other thing is, of course, working capital. Now, going back to the model where you've obviously delivered your services and you've raised your invoice, now you know you're not going to be paid for 90, 120 days. What happens then? I mean, your cash flow is going to be very, very cash flow is going to be basically disrupted. You'll have some sort of a gap in there, and it's going to affect, obviously, you paying your staff, your bills, your rent rates, whatever it may be. So on this working capital, we have a facility called an interest-only revolving credit. It's usually quite short-term. When I say short-term, it's usually available for about 12 months to 24 months, but you can renew that every year. Again, it's an interest-only short-term facility where you are charged interest only for the amount you borrow. So they might give you a cap to say, okay, we'll give you a £100,000 facility. You might only draw 40, 50,000 pounds. You might only draw it for 4 or 5 days. So it's a very, very flexible product that helps you to get over your cash flow issues, where you can only draw down the money. It's like an overdraft, but it's completely independent of a bank, and you can pay that off whenever you want, and you get only charged interest on the money you borrow for the time you're borrowing it. So again, that's very, very useful to know. It's a working capital loan, just in case you were not aware of it, that's available. And then below that, we have, of course, you to get paid on your credit terms. So again, if your credit terms are 30 or 60 days, you'd be hoping that your bank your bank receives the payments in the terms that you've provided. But if not, of course, we have a facility called trade and invoice finance. Now, this is a little bit different from working capital. This is where, when you raise an invoice, we have specialist lenders that can fund your invoice within 48 hours. So you raise an invoice, you submit it to the finance company. They'll settle your invoice within 48 hours. Of course, there's going to be a fee for it. Finance is not free. There will be a small fee and a small charge, but it absolutely gives you a fantastic footing for you to now start, looking and delivering at more customers, because you've got the money that you were owed to in your account now, so it doesn't affect your cash flow. What I tend to say to a lot of my clients is that, once you know that whatever your cost of finance is, have that cost incorporated in the invoice, so you know that it might be 2 or 3% extra on top of your usual price. So, incorporate that charge within your invoice, so you know that you're not losing out. Obviously, at the end of the day, your customer's going to pay the bank in the end, but you've been paid in advance, and for that, there's a small fee. And so trade and invoice finance is usually available up to about the value of around 90% of your invoice. So, if you raise an invoice for £10,000, you will get paid around £9,000 immediately within 48 hours in your account from a lender, and that will really help you with your cash flow. So yeah, lots of options, from stock funding to commercial mortgages to revolving credit to obviously invoice finance. I know it can be a minefield. There's a lot of options available, and don't worry about trying to remember everything. Obviously this has been recorded, and we'll send out the recording in the end to all participants, and also it's available from the Brandewin website, which is brandewin.co.uk, which I've put in the chat box. But it's all the details will be shared in the end anyway. Lastly, moving on, what if your customers are abroad, and if you're exporting, what happens then? So again, we have lenders on our panel that specialize only for export finance, and this export finance works in a way where it's backed by the government. So even though your business might not be able to afford or service the loan for the amount you need, We work closely with UK Export Finance and also with banks, and we hopefully submit your application to a specialist lender who is on the books on the panel with UK Export Finance, and so basically they will guarantee up to 80% of the loan, which is great, and also they provide insurance with it as well, so that just in case one of your buyers overseas, if you've sold a product overseas and obviously you've exported it, if something should go wrong in the end, it's insured anyway. So that's available as well on an 80% basis from the government guarantee. So lots of options around, what you need the funding for, and as you can see from here, every need is a different solution. But it's up to us as specialist brokers that we help you with the most suitable solution depending on your need. What's your biggest challenge and what's your need, maybe we can guide you through all that. So don't be sort of confused by, wow, what should I go for? What finance do I need? If you need to speak to me in the end, I'll share my contact details. Give me a call or email me. And I'll be very happy to guide you with this. But it's more. This is more about making you aware of what's out there, and that there are a lot of different lenders out there. So just knowing who to approach. So I hope you found this quite interesting. And I don't know if you were aware of all these different types of funding that was available to you. So next page. So who will help with the funding? Again, when I mentioned that, do you go to your bank? Look, I deal with high street banks all the time. I've had clients come back to me to say, well, Hitesh, look, I've gone to HSBC, I've gone to Barclays or whatever. They're not interested. They're only interested if your turnover is more than £2 million or something significant. If you're a small SME business, then it's funding is very challenging at the moment, and we have a choice of different lenders, not the high street, but specialist finance institutions that lend purely to businesses. So I think the key here is to find out what it is you need and who do we go to. The bank's not always the best answer, but in a lot of cases, of course, they would only lend to businesses that are very, very well established, and also they like lending to businesses who are very, very profitable. So not every business is going to be in that box. So that's that. And if you get your offers come through the letterbox, like the most common one I see coming through the letterbox is people like Funding Circle. You get that through the post, and they're all automated AI sort of applications. You submit your details on a website, and the interest rates are horrendously high, and also it's just computer generated, so it's not like a human looking at your application and say, right, okay, is your business profitable? Will it qualify for a loan? And again, this is just a very generalized loan. So it's like just a business loan, usually about 5 years maximum. But the products we spoke about are more bespoke. Like if you needed something like that, you would not just go to a website and put in for a business loan, because your needs are completely different. It's not just a business loan. Like I said, it could be a business sort of cash flow problem. It could be a car asset finance. So there are so many different types of funding available, not just a general business loan. So there are many choices. And like I said, if you go to your high street bank, it's not always the most suitable. So next page. So following on from, of course, talking about high street banks, and so as a broker, this is what we see, and this is what we see very, very commonly of why finances get declined and why applications get declined. The biggest issue is usually a lot of businesses don't know who to approach, and if they just go to a general lender and say, right, I want to borrow £50,000, and they submit an application, and before you know it, it's been declined. So as you can see, 71% of SMEs didn't meet the lending criteria. They went to the wrong lender. The lender didn't specialize in the finance they needed. It was just a straight decline. The lender said, hang on a minute, this is not our cup of tea. Sure, sorry, we're not lending on this particular business sector or the business. It could be asset finance, it could be anything. So we're not lending on that product. So it was just a straight decline because the applicant didn't meet didn't meet the lending criteria. So that's just a very, very common issue we see where funding gets declined purely because we didn't go to the right lender, or the lender didn't specialize in it. The other reason, one of the key reasons why I think we see declines is, again, the sector that you're in. So at the moment, the most risky businesses or sectors, shall we say, in business for any lender is someone possibly in construction or hospitality. And the reason being, of course, they're very high risk businesses where you see lots of pubs and hospitality businesses sort of closing down because of just overheads, very high overheads and things like that. So as you can see, nearly 56% of SMEs were deemed too risky from a lender's point of view. So again, it's knowing where to go and who to approach for the right lending. And then, of course, reason number 3, 44% of SMEs just had an unsuitable financial history. Now, this could be anything, right? It could be from a lender saying, hang on a minute, you've not submitted your latest accounts. Your VAT might not be up to date. It could be any reason, right? You might have a very high rate of unpaid invoices, like we mentioned on trade finance. You've issued your invoices, but the invoices haven't been paid. So there's always a reason why sometimes, from a lender's point of view, the financial history is unsuitable for whatever reason it may be. But again, it's worth looking at your application before you just submit it. Just to make sure that everything that the lender is looking for, you have addressed it before you actually before you submit the application. And that's where someone like a broker like myself or any other broker really comes in handy, because we package the application on your behalf. And if we spot anything that we see that, hang on a minute, this may lead to a decline, or the lender might not approve your lending, we would actually look at your accounts and say, look, sort this out or sort that out, whatever it may be. Get your accounts up to date, file your accounts, make sure your VAT is up to date, and just general business history in terms of finances all up to date. You've got no missed payments, no CCJs. So it could be lots of things, but we help with all of that, and we actually check to make sure that everything is up to scratch before we personally go and submit your application on your behalf to the right lender. But again, our specialism is that we match your business with the right lender after we've packaged your application to make sure that you've got the highest chance of being successful with your application. Next page. Okay, so again, what difference do we make is exactly what I've just mentioned before. We take a structured and successful approach. Of course, this is what we do day in, day out. We want to make sure that whatever sector you're in, we approach the right lender who specializes in that sector. If you're in construction, then we go to a lender that deals and they only specialize in the construction side. Hospitality, pubs, anything else. Again, there's different lenders, so we want to make sure that your application goes to the right lender. In a way, we are a matchmaker, so we obviously match your criteria with the lender's criteria, and also we understand what your terms and processes are. So if we understand what they are, we can then explain that to a lender to say, look, this is how this business operates. This is how these are the business processes. This is how they trade. These are their terms. How they raise invoices. Do they take cash? Do you take cash in your business? Do you take merchant payments, or is it a combination of you taking cash, you get paid through a bank account, and also you get paid on your raising your invoice business to business, which could be 30, 60, 90 days. So it's knowing everything. It's getting to know your business before we go and approach any lender. And so for that, we prepare the deal and we present it to the lender with the supporting documents. Usually there should be 2 or 3 years business bank accounts. And of course, they want to see, what your cash flow is like. So usually they ask for about 3 months bank statements to make sure you've got no missed payments. They can see a cycle where cash is coming in and going out, and what have you got left at the end of the month. After every month, you've paid all your suppliers, you've paid your wages, you paid your staff, and also you've got the income in from your invoices, and what does the cash flow look like? So apart from accounts, bank statements are very important to a lender. And then, of course, we pre-qualify the application. So what we usually do is, rather than go to 4 or 5 different lenders, we check to make sure that the lender that we approach is happy with what they've seen. And before we put the application in, they've had a sort of a snapshot of the business and they're happy with it, subject to final checks. But it avoids you going to 3 or 4 different lenders and getting declined time and time again. So we pre-qualify the application, and this avoids multiple credit checks as well, because the more credit checks you get done, the more the lender will be thinking. The next lender is probably saying, hang on a minute, we've just done a credit check of this business, but they've already been searched by Barclays. They've already been searched by HSBC. What's going on here? Why have they come to us? So it's good to get your business sort of pre-qualified to avoid multiple credit checks. And that's one of the main things that we really help out with. So you know that when you put your application in, you've got the highest chance of being approved, and you haven't been credit checked multiple times. So yeah, look, as it says down the bottom of the screen in green, we have successfully arranged funding where our clients have previously been declined by the banks. So it makes all the difference, preparing and packaging your application to go to the right lender and with the highest rate of success. And so this is the difference we make. Okay, so a little bit about ourselves, about myself. Who am I? So I'm a professionally qualified finance broker. We offer basically our services in confidence, sound advice, and we've been here for 8 years now. My company name is Modern Finance Solutions. We're authorized by the Financial Conduct Authority, which is the FCA. We've got really good Google reviews, and we give impartial advice. We're not here to go to a particular lender because we get better commissions paid from them. We've got to give you impartial advice and get you the best deal at the best rates. So we're not tied to any lender, but yeah, we have got a panel of lenders where we can go to and approach them. And it's basically our job. My job is to make sure that we get you the best rates from a lender and the best terms in terms of if you apply for a particular amount of loan, we want to make sure that if you apply for example, if the application is for £100,000 worth of loan, we want to make sure you get that and not come back with a counter offer to say, hang on a minute, the lender's saying we can only lend 50,000. So yeah, we want to make sure that we give you the maximum chance of getting the best rate and best terms on your application. One of the other things that sort of my business is registered with is with the NACFP. Now, the NACFP is the National Association of Commercial Finance Brokers. We're registered with them because we've got we get audited, so we want to make sure that we're giving professional advice, we're giving professional service, and you can borrow with confidence that you're dealing with somebody that's registered with somebody, and it's not just somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, and just take your application and just submitting it to any willy-nilly lender. So it's good to know that your application is dealt with somebody who's a professional and who's registered with the FCA and the NACFP. So I hope you found that useful. Lots of information to digest, but like I said, this is recorded. You can watch this again. And also, if you need any advice, obviously my details will be down at the end of the webinar. Just give me a call or email me for any advice or help you need. I don't charge any fees, so it's completely free of charge. If we do submit any applications to any lenders, we get paid by the lender anyway. So we usually don't charge our customers any money, but of course our job is to get the application approved, so you get the finance that you need, and obviously we get paid by the lender. So yeah, this is exactly how we can help you as a professional broker to get the best finance solution for your needs. Well, here's a few examples of how we've helped certain companies with funding. So for this particular one, this is a drinks wholesaler based in Uxbridge, locally in West London. So this customer of mine was recommended to me. Interestingly, what happened with this customer was that he dealt with another broker, and he was actually exporting sort of high-end whiskies abroad. And he goes, Hitesh, look, I need a facility for £250,000. you know, for me to go to the specialist, you know, breweries in this country to buy these special whiskies and then export them over. Now, you know, for him to invest £250,000 before he gets paid within 90, 120 days, of course, he's got to invest his own money. So, you know, he'd gone through another broker and it was declined. In fact, it was declined by a bank and it was declined with another lender. And then he came to me and goes, Hitesh, look, I'm fine. I don't need this anymore. I don't need any funding anymore because, you know, my other brokers, you know, recommended me to take a bridging loan. So I said to him, oh, okay, that's really nice. I said, you know, hopefully you'll go with him, but can I just ask why are you taking a bridging loan? He goes, well, it's a bridging loan on my personal property, you know, basically you're releasing capital from your property. I says, his name is Gio, and I said, Gio, look, you know, whether you come through me or not, it makes no difference to me, but I'd just like to guide you correctly. If I were you, please be very, very careful of, you know, risking your personal property into your business. So, you know, if someone's recommending you to take money out of your house, your personal asset, and then you put that money into the business, what if tomorrow the business went bankrupt or something happened or you didn't get paid, what would happen? And so it was a very, very bad example of that. And anyway, he was declined finance. He couldn't get it anywhere. But we managed to get him the £250,000 facility through the government guarantee scheme, which is the scheme I spoke about earlier on, through the UKEF Finance, which is UK Export Finance. So one of our lenders specializes with UKEF funding. So even though it was declined, he didn't have to put his house on a security. He didn't have to risk his property. And we got him the £250,000 facility, and it was so good that this facility was £250,000 every quarter. So my question to my client was, what's your profit margin in here? So he says, oh, Hitesh, you know, we'd probably make about 20-25% markup. So I says, look, so if we gave you a facility of 250 grand every quarter, that's £1 million in a year, right? Is that right? He goes, yeah. So I said, if you're making 20-25% profit on that, you've suddenly made 250,000 profit by taking this funding. Now, obviously, it's going to cost you in terms of finance and charges and all that. But even if you say that it's cost you 20 or 30,000 pounds in interest, you've still made a fantastic profit because, you know, you've leveraged the bank's money. If you didn't have your own funding, you wouldn't have made the profit in the first place. So yes, there is a charge and there is a fee for funding, but as I say to a lot of my clients, money makes money. So if you've got access to finance, use it. As long as you can make a profit on it, that's what it's about. So yeah, very happy customer. Where he was declined previously, we managed to get him the 250k with a government guarantee scheme. So, you know, the business is doing really, really well. He's very happy, and I've ended up doing lots of other finance for him, not just stock finance, but, you know, when he wants to buy vehicles for his company, he comes to me. When he wants his mortgage done or his buy-to-let mortgages or whatever, we help him with that. So yeah, great example and very good feedback on Google from this company. So that's just an example of course, an export finance deal we did. Next example, this is a food distributor company. Again, really, really maxed out on the overdraft because there's very, very high turnover business, you know, £8 million sales, but can't grow because, of course, you know, there's always a problem around cash flow. Money doesn't come in time. They've got to pay their suppliers. They're buying stock, paying the staff, deliveries, vans, trucks, everything. And again, it was a massive problem around cash flow. It's gone to the local bank. Again, declined due to affordability issues and poor cash flow. Obviously, the bank wants proof to find out, hang on a minute, how are you going to pay us back if we lend you whatever you need, 100,000-200,000 pound facility? How are you going to pay it back? You know, according to your bank accounts, you are struggling just about to get through month by month. So the banks declined him. But with this, the most suitable facility was the revolving credit facility with an alternative lender. Where, of course, they pay, around 2 to 3% a month, which is just the going rate for the interest rates on a revolving credit, which is around a 12-month facility, again renewable. So it releases your cash flow, it releases your invoice money to come into your bank account rather than your customer's bank account. So yeah, interestingly, it's a completely different example from the one previous one, which was export finance. This is purely just cash flow finance revolving credit facility. Again, when you have got a successful bid and you're providing your goods or services to your customer, these sort of facilities can really help you to grow. Example 3, construction company. Okay, so this is a company, one of my customers based locally around Heathrow. They provide scaffolding to a lot of sort of developments, building projects in London. Again, with ULEZ coming up over the last couple of years, they've had some very old trucks, and each one of these trucks, if you go and buy a truck, they're about 70,000, 80,000 pounds each, minimum, plus the fittings and fixtures on top of that. So they needed 3 trucks, went to the banks, and the banks simply turned around and said, hang on a minute, we've seen your accounts, we've seen your trading, we can probably lend you 70 or 80% of one truck. So if each truck is about 80 grand and they're getting 60,000 pounds, if they've got to put a 20,000 pound deposit plus VAT, you can see how much it's going to cost them to buy 3 trucks. So we went through to an alternative lender who specializes on asset finance, and we've got all the full funding for 200,000 pounds approved. And of course, they're now fully ULEZ compliant. The business continues to thrive, and they're serving local boroughs. So 3 completely different finance examples. Of course, you've got one export finance, you've got cash flow finance. Now this is asset finance, but again, every lender has a specialism in every sector, in every field. But it's knowing who to approach, and this is where we can help your company to grow and flourish and get the right funding at the right time. So hopefully you've seen all this before. Hopefully you've gone through the Brandon Business Support, and you've hopefully gone to one of their events on the Fit to Bid, on Meet the Buyer events, which they hold quite regularly. But if you need any more information, just go on to the brandywin.co.uk website down the bottom left, or the link on the right, which is fittobid.co.uk, and Brandywin will help you with preparing you with your bid, and also guide you. I don't know if you're aware or if you've already been on their webinars, but they do a 1 hour free consultation. Again, there's no fee for it. It's funded by the government. So it's well worth going and attending one of these webinars and seminars with one of my colleagues at Brandywin. And as you know, looking at the screen, they work with so many different councils and local authorities. So here's just some of them, obviously Hillingdon, Ealing, Wandsworth, Hounslow, Hammersmith, and there's loads more on the website. So this is just a simplified version of that. But it's worth talking to Brandywin on the Fit to Bid program if you haven't done so already. Some of the next events that are coming up, of course, today's the one is obviously you're on now funding your bid, but you've got events coming up in February and March next year, and the links down the bottom on Eventbrite if you want to take part or participate and obviously get more information. Here's a link down the bottom on Eventbrite where you can find loads more information on the website and on local events. We've got Meet the Buyer events, as you can see on there. So yeah, it's worth going to them because you'll meet some fantastic people there, and also meet companies that are interested, or they might be interested in your services, and you can speak to them directly. It's a great networking event. I would recommend it very highly. And here's just some of the workshops again on the Brandywin Business Support website. So you can go on the Brandywin website, and there's so many different types of information available on it. It's very informative. I'm sure you'll find it really interesting, and it can only be helpful, right? You've got so much resource there, and you can learn so much from it. But yeah, there's loads of information available from Brandywin. So please visit their website for more information. And they've also got the Brandywin YouTube channel, which you can see as well on YouTube. So just type in Brandywin on YouTube, and of course you come up with one of their channels, and yeah, go from there. Apart from that, really around finance, I've really covered quite a little bit on funding. This is just more about obviously all further learning resources for SMEs. Again, everything's available from from their website, and there's loads more information available on that. So please feel free to look at that, all the resources on the Brandywin Business Support website. This is a one-to-one tender session. As I mentioned earlier, it's worth booking this in. Like I said, it's completely free of charge, but you'd be speaking to one of my colleagues at Brandywin called Charlie. He's absolutely fantastic in terms of what he can show you on how you sort of pitch your bid, how you sell it, and he asks you all the questions that usually a buyer would ask, but obviously he's going to ask you and prepare you. It's free of charge, and I'd really recommend that you fill one of these forms in from the website, or contact Charlie, and I'll give you all the details at the end. But yeah, it's worth going for that. That's it really. So if you want further information, you can register at the Fit2Bid website, and once you've registered, you can see the contracts and whatever information you need, one-to-one support, mentoring, referrals, and a host of services available to you. So it's worth going on that website and double checking and to see, what resources that you might need from there that might come in useful for you. But yeah, there's lots of support and help there. So here's the details of my colleague Charlie McClellan. That's his email address, charles@brandywin.co.uk, and then you got so Charlie's at Hillingdon, Hillingdon Borough, and then you got Tony at Ealing, tony@brandywin.co.uk. Both my colleagues are fantastic. They're really knowledgeable, and they can guide you through everything on this program, on the Fit2Bid program, to get you up to speed with your bid and doing business with large corporate buyers. Apart from that, really, I think I've covered a lot of it. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I hope you found it useful, and I hope it wasn't boring, and it wasn't death by PowerPoint. But look, I've tried to keep it as simple as possible, but there was still quite a lot to cover. Here's my details on the bottom. It's hitesh@modernfinancesolutions.co.uk. And if my web address is modernfinancesolutions.co.uk. We work in partnership with Brandywin, and we work with, of course, UK Finance, UK Export Finance, and again, we work with all our lenders to help you to become successful and grow your business. If there's any questions, please feel free. It's 11:45 now. We've still got 10 minutes left. If there's any questions, please feel free to write it in the chat box, and I'll look forward to taking some of your questions. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. We've sort of done in fairly good time. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate that. Hope you found it useful. Until next time, have a fantastic Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And I'm sure we'll meet some of you at the next event through Brandywin and through Meet the Buyer. But for now, thank you very much, everybody. Merry Christmas to you all.